Welcome to Bible Time with Aunt Kat. This is where we talk about real people we read about in God's Word, the Bible. All of His Word is true because God cannot lie. The Bible verses we use today will be shared at the end of the video. I have a question for you. See, that says God's promise. Have you ever had to wait a really long time for something? Something maybe you've been promised or something you've been waiting for? Do you know how long it takes for these little seeds here to become these flowers? These particular little seeds are sometimes called tick seed because they look like little ticks. And they take 2 years to become a flower. Waiting can be hard, can't it? Well, today I want to tell you about 2 people in the Bible who waited their whole lives for something. And then when it seemed way too late, it happened. Their names were Zacharias and Elizabeth. They were good people who loved and served God. But there was one thing they didn't have. Can you guess? They didn't have any children. Now, back in Bible times, not having children was very sad, especially for people like Elizabeth who wanted to be a mom for a long, long time. But here's what's amazing. God had not forgotten them. He had a very special plan. Their baby would help get people ready for the coming of Jesus, someone God's people had been waiting hundreds of years to come. Zacharias was a priest. And one day it was his turn to go into the temple and offer prayers. And while he was there, something incredible happened. An angel came. Yes, a real angel named Gabriel appeared to him. And Gabriel said, "Don't be afraid, Zacharias. Your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will have a son, and you will name him John." Now, Zacharias was afraid and maybe a little bit doubtful. He and Elizabeth were very old. So how could this be? So Gabriel said, "Because you did not believe, you will be silent, unable to speak until the day this happens." And that's exactly what happened. Zacharias walked out of the temple and he could not speak a single word. The people outside could tell something big had happened. And sure enough, just like the angel said, Elizabeth became pregnant. She was going to have a baby. Can you imagine how excited and surprised she must have been? She was an old woman. 9 months later, baby John was born. Their neighbors and family were so excited, and they said, "Oh, let's name him Zacharias after his daddy." But Elizabeth said, "No, his name will be John." Everyone looked at Zacharias. He still couldn't speak. So he asked for something to write on. And he wrote, "His name is John." And right away, just like that, he could speak again. The first thing he did, you know what the very first thing he did was? He praised God. Everyone was amazed. They knew this child was special. And he was. John would grow up to be a messenger, a voice crying in the wilderness to prepare the way for Jesus. Now, remember this envelope? It says God's promise. Let's pretend this envelope is like the message God gave to Zacharias. inside there's something that tells us something very important. Let's open it up and see what it is. It says, God keeps his promises. And there's that tiny little seed. And that's the truth. Zacharias and Elizabeth waited, and God came through. Not in their time, not when they thought they should have had a baby, but in his time, when he was ready for them to have a baby. And God still keeps his promises today. He promises to love us and to never leave us and to work all things together for good. So the next time you're waiting for something or wondering if God hears your prayers, remember Zacharias and Elizabeth and this little envelope. God keeps his promises, because with God, nothing is impossible. And that's going to be our memory verse today from Luke 1, verse 37. And it's, for with God nothing shall be impossible. And it's Luke 1:37, and we're going to sing it to the tune of the wise man. But we're going to repeat it 3 times. Okay, repeat it 3 times, and then we're going to sing Luke 1, verse 37, like this. For with God nothing shall be impossible. For with God nothing shall be impossible. For with God nothing shall be impossible. Luke 1, verse 37. Let's do it again. For with God nothing shall be impossible. For with God nothing shall be impossible. For with God nothing shall be impossible. Luke 1, verse 37. One more time, nice and loud. For with God nothing shall be impossible. For with God nothing shall be impossible. For with God nothing shall be impossible. Luke 1, verse 37. Can you think of a promise God has made you that brings comfort? Maybe that he hears your prayers, or that he forgives you, or that he's preparing us a home in heaven. That's the kind of God he is. Scriptures today were Luke 1, verse 5 through 25, verse 37, and verse 57 through 80. Next week, a birth announcement. And don't forget to make your own Bible time every day.